What steps do you think can be taken like today to decrease like the amount of racism that we have?
Um, I don't know. Hmm. I don't really have the answers to that.
Right. Um,
Obviously, there needs to be a better relationship between the government and law enforcement and the Black community. The criminal justice system in general, tends to focus more on punishment and being punitive, throwing people in jail, arresting them, rather than seeking out non-aggressive, non-violent forms of problem solving, like I don't know, like mental health treatment and so on. I know that uh, there's a great level of distrust between the Black community and law enforcement in America, and with good reason, because as I put in my little posting to my students, right, in 2014 and 15, there was like Tamir Rice and Freddie Gray, Michael Brown, and here we are 6 years later, and the same stuff is happening.
right.
Nothing has changed, right? So I think that like one of the things that could help is we need to reevaluate policing in America. I can give you an example. Like as a teacher, as a public sector employee, right, a public servant, we are almost every year like told like, all right, there's education is trending this way, and these are the ways that you should be delivering instruction in your classroom, and these are the ways that you should be assessing students. So we're constantly changing, we're constantly evolving. It's no longer about like the teacher just being in the front of the room and talking at you for, 45, 50 minutes, although I did do that a lot in my class. But either way, in education, right, we're held to the standard that we have to continually improve. If you want to be a teacher, you have to get a master's degree in order to keep your job. And all the while we're doing that, every year it's like, oh, there's budget cuts, right? We're not gonna be inviting these teachers back, right? We don't have enough supplies, we don't have this, we don't have that, right? We continue to cut education, and we're expecting teachers to do more with less. And I'm not quite sure we kind of treat law enforcement the same way. Uh, I come from a family of cops. My grandfather was a sergeant in the city of Lowell. I have cousins who are police officers, uncles, right? So I'm from a police family. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, um, so I have great respect for the men and women who serve our community in that way and protecting and serving. But at the same time, I do think that there's some kind of like imbalance in that, like for law enforcement, for policing, we tend to, I think we over focus on punishment, um, rather than looking at ways that we can be helping people and
Right.
rehabilitating them. Right? There's so many people in jail for things like drug use or mental health issues, right? And these are sort of like public health crises. They're not like they're criminals, but we treat them as such and throw them in jail.
Right.
Um, and then when they get out, it's hard for them to get jobs and so on. So to kind of circle back to your question, I think that like that could be one way that things could improve. But also, I think that like education is certainly another way. And I know that racism is like a tough thing to identify where it comes from, because it's hard to say that like people are like innately or naturally racist, right? I might
Right.
have even used this analogy in your class where like have you ever held a newborn baby and like looked at that baby and you're like, well, that baby's racist, like
No.
like you just no, right? Because racism is often a byproduct of your socialization, your upbringing. You might learn it from family members, from TV shows, from your peers, and so on. So I think we just need to be better at um, recognizing it, better at raising younger generations to be more open and accepting of people from different cultures and different skin colors. And it's not going to happen overnight, but it's certainly something that we need to work on. So I think that like obviously education and possibly reforming or reimagining the relationship between law enforcement and minorities in America. But again, I don't know. I don't have the solutions. I'm just
Right.
kind of
Definitely.
throwing these ideas out there.